Entrepreneurship is something that I've always been interested in. For those of us that have spent careers in service, the military, public service, law enforcement, it actually comes quite naturally to want to define your own path professionally and make decisions about what you want to do professionally. So there were times during my career where I thought about striking off on my own, even during my career of service. But I continued, I finished the career, and then I matriculated into the enterprise space. It was during my time in the enterprise space where I saw what I thought to be a lack of emphasis around things like leadership and actually taking care of people that prompted me to think more precisely about when I might strike off on my own and create my own entity. And since I had Apogee Global on the shelf, again, I established Apogee Global upon my retirement from government service. It was pretty easy for me to take a look at the signals, take my experience, and then make a determination that it was time for me to strike off on my own. Interestingly enough, the small to medium sized business space, I think, gets largely ignored when it comes to the subject of enterprise risk and risk management. These small firms, which are the vast majority of firms around the planet, make up the vast majority of businesses around the planet, have to operate at the same capacity operationally as large-scale firms, but they oftentimes don't have the financial resources or personnel resources to address issues like cybersecurity, physical security, and they certainly need help around the areas of strategy and leadership development, all service lines that we have in Apogee Global. My impetus around addressing that particular market space really solidified during my time in enterprise. Having worked for large firms like Palo Alto Networks and Google Cloud, I saw that in the cybersecurity space, these firms are looking for the big wins. You know, the likes of Google, Microsoft, any of the big firms on the market are looking to service Fortune 500 companies because that's where they get the biggest revenue opportunities to return from them. Um, that means that the small to medium-sized businesses oftentimes are left to their own devices in order to figure out how to do things like build enterprise risk, build a security apparatus within their companies that is built to scale, built to answer the challenges that they may be facing on the landscape. And I see across the board, whether it be in North America, Europe, or here in the Middle East, there are opportunities to deliver impact, really provide expertise to these firms. And I think that there's a desperate need in the small to medium-sized business space to provide expert enterprise risk management advisory engagements. And that's the sweet spot, I think, where Apogee Global can shine because we bring, with our executives and others that we bring in terms of the teams that we assemble for our engagements, enterprise level expertise, but we take that expertise and we target it in a bespoke manner specifically for the small to medium sized business space. I think oftentimes businesses forget about the people, believe it or not. There's a lot of time spent in business identifying what's going to generate revenue, creating business process, identifying technology. Our tagline as an organization is taking people, process, and technology to the next level. I think all three of those elements are intertwined. And the more emphasis, the more time that you can spend on developing people, ensuring that they have the skills necessary to do the work that they're engaged in, that they're being developed, that they're being looked after in a way that ensures that their professional trajectory is what they expect it to be, the more you can expect them to actually be productive and achieve the mission set that you put in front of them. So the focus around people is one that I think is definitely needed in the business space. And at Apogee Global, we like to think that we cover all three of those bases. So we can bring you the technology portion, help you transform your organization. The people portion, we definitely emphasize because everything we do has a foundation of leadership associated with it, and processes in terms of strategy is where we excel in helping organizations scale and think about how they want to operate into the future. Technology solutions are not enough because I've seen firsthand the focus and overemphasis on identifying tools in our industry, the cybersecurity industry. This focus on tool selection hasn't solved the challenges in the cybersecurity space. They're helpful, but like any tool, they require people to implement them appropriately, to ensure that in that implementation that the tools are actually achieving the objectives for which they were purchased and implemented into the systems, and then to be thinking about outside of that context what else may be needed in order to satisfy the needs of the organization and help organizations reduce their overall risk. So technology is never the end state. It's a part of a larger solution set that again requires people and process more often than not in order to ensure that you're achieving the objectives that you set out for yourself. My law enforcement and military experience were um, aspects of my life that, again, I signed up for it, things that I always wanted to do. I always wanted to serve um, in the military. Law enforcement came as a natural extension of that service in the military. And what I took away from those careers is what I call an ability to get things done. There is a sense of urgency associated with both of those professions, the military and law enforcement. And I was able, over the course of a career of more than 32 years in public service, I developed what I would call a tendency or a bias towards action. That bias towards action I bring to everything that I do. And certainly the sense of urgency in terms of getting things done is helpful in terms of getting projects across the finish line. So, the ability to get things done, the knowledge that even through iteration, even if you're going to miss from time to time, it's better to take a swing and miss rather than to not swing at all. And so, the bias towards action is what I gathered over the course of a career, and I take that into every engagement that I encounter. The hardest decision was to walk away from a solid compensation package and what might be considered to be an easy life. I was working for a Fortune 5 company, a global technology enterprise, one of the largest companies on the planet, as an executive. I had it pretty easy. Um, but as I tell folks in my conversations with them now, the golden handcuffs only last for so long. And because I had this burning desire to build my own team, to sort of strike off on my own, it was enough over time. And certainly the experiences I had in terms of what I thought to be an absence of leadership contributed to this, or at least the absence of leadership in all the things that I saw during my time in the commercial space. I thought it was time to strike off on my own, and that was enough, I think, to point me in the right direction, gave me the and certainly my experiences in both the public sector and the commercial space gave me enough confidence to think that I had enough experience that I could go off and provide um, advisory work to clients and provide them substantive results and impact. I question if this is the right path every day. One of the things that founders experience, I think, is this sense of did we make the right decision? Uh, and it's constantly gnawing at you because it's filled with ups and downs. And those ups and downs can occur just in the course of a day. You can start the day off with a win, getting a client, setting up for your next engagement, and by the end of the day, have a bad experience with an employee or a bad experience with a vendor or a partner that can again make you question whether or not you made the right decision to go into the space. So you got to be ready for those ups and downs. It's a little bit of a roller coaster ride, and I think that only folks who are built for the kind of environment for which you find yourself in. It's a little bit of a crucible. If you're not built for that crucible, then you probably will not survive being a founder. So I hear the questions daily, and I have to, as a founder, provide answers to those questions daily. Why am I engaged in this? Why am I doing this? Why do I think that this is the right path for me at this point in my life? And a lot of it's sort of self-talk and sort of motivating myself to keep going and to pursue what it is that I think I'm doing in terms of building this out. But it's a little bit of a daily struggle. The thing that surprised me the most is that it is a 7-day-a-week endeavor. there are really no days off. You have to create boundaries for yourself, which I try and do as best I can. But I find that at this stage in the development of the business, there's not a day that goes by that I don't, even if it's only for a couple of hours, spend time engaged in something that's going to support the business outcomes. Yeah. Veterans across the board are pretty special. I think that we bring unique experiences, skills, attitude, and again, an ability to get things done that I don't see commonly in enterprise space. I think that veterans, at the end of the day, are a group of people who have experienced the highs of what it means to be part of something bigger than yourself, and are have things like grit, resilience built into their character. And this is not, not everybody's going to be exactly the same. You're not going to get, every veteran across the board's not going to probably meet everyone's expectations. But generally speaking, I find that veterans bring a little bit of a special sauce to everything that they do. And that special sauce results in action, results, impact, the kinds of things that you need in a workforce in order to be able to get things done. Veterans do speak a common language, and there is commonality in the experiences that veterans have. And so what happens is that when you put veterans into a workplace environment, the shorthand that's developed is one that is relatable to them in terms of execution. Many veterans across the board are used to bottom line up front. Tell me what the mission is, tell me what needs to happen, tell me what the objective is, and then I will go do the things that need to happen in order to bring that to fruition. And that shorthand gets sort of baked into the business environment. I find that in the business that I'm in, it's helpful to have folks who understand execution and getting things done because it allows you to move a lot faster. And so I think that that's the sweet sauce I think that veterans bring into the environments that they work in, and this ability to exercise that shorthand means everyone knows we have to get something done, and as long as they're all pointed in the same direction, you know that they're going to accomplish the mission. Why are we in Doha? I'm here because there is an energy in the Middle East. Every time that I visited the Middle East for business, I find that there is an energy here. The current energy happens to be surrounding the idea of technology and technical transformation. Uh, the businesses that are here, that are being founded here, the environment, it, 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 it is an environment that is very supportive of the idea of entrepreneurship. And I think that, as the projections indicate, there will be opportunities for founders to start things here. And I think that the skills that the Apogee Global team brings to the table will be needed. And so, in an environment where I have an appreciation not only for, again, the energy, the business energy here, there's a vibrancy, I think, in many of the Middle Eastern cities that I've visited, in the UAE, here in Qatar, in Saudi Arabia, in Jordan. There's a sense that uh, folks with special skills can survive and bring substantive and impactful advice to people. And that's where I feel like there's an opportunity here for us to partner potentially with organizations that complement our services and skill sets, and potentially partner to do some decent business here. So our modality of business at Apogee is largely partner based. We have our service lines, which revolve around cyber and physical risk, strategy and leadership development, and then talent acquisition and executive search. And we think that's a lot, but it's not the whole thing. Our business model is such that we identify vulnerabilities, gaps. We provide information to organizations in terms of how they might scale and where they need to go in order to reduce risk to the enterprise. There's a phase after that that includes actual delivery of solutions, and that's where the partner network that we're trying to establish comes into play. My goal as the founder is to build an extensive global partner network such that any place in the world where we're able to provide our advisory services, that we can introduce a partner that then provides solutions and can implement the technology to help them get to where they want to be. And so I'm very partner focused in terms of scaling and ensuring that this business is survivable. And I think that this environment in Qatar and every place else that I've been in the world, partnerships seem to create an environment from a business standpoint that's much more lasting rather than trying to do everything on your own. Yeah, so I haven't exactly gotten to the point where I'm doing business yet in the Gulf. I've had an opportunity to do some teaching here. I've had an opportunity to attend and speak at multiple conferences in the region. And my assessment of the region, again, is that there is opportunity here for a firm like ours to partner with other organizations and to potentially deliver substantive impact to companies here in the region. What surprises me is that there's so much energy, so much opportunity. Um, Navigating it can be a little bit of a challenge. And I think each time I visit the region, I get a little bit of an additional insight into what it's going to take to build partnerships here long term. When a client engagement goes really well, what it looks like is that you have established a foundation for trust with the client. They turn to you for advice outside of the scope of work that maybe you have established with them, which means that they then trust that the opinions, the advice that you're providing them is spot on and is going to help them grow, scale, and do what they need to do as a business. And so, when it's right, the partnership, the extension of the relationship goes beyond the scope of work and leads to follow on and future work. The corollary of that is that when it doesn't go well, the project ends. Hopefully, you get paid, and then everyone goes their separate ways. That probably means that um, we were not as impactful as we should have been in the engagement. Because my goal is to establish long-term relationships with our clients, and if we can do what we're supposed to do in that initial 3 to 4 months, we can look at building relationships with these clients for years to come. Where do I see Apogee in 5 years? I see a globally focused advisory firm engaged in North America, Europe, and the Middle East effectively with a large, extensive partnership network that allows us to deliver impactful advice related to enterprise risk to small to medium sized businesses in the global public sector. I also see a firm that is team focused with a small set of permanent staff and employees, all making a living off of providing these excellent services to a market that desperately needs it. I want folks to walk away from their experience with Apogee feeling as though they contributed to something and accomplished something. And even if it's for either a short term or a long term with us, I want the team members to feel like they were a part of something that was special, that they saw it grow, that they contributed to its growth, and that if they choose to walk away from it, that they walk away with a sense that it was a great experience for them professionally. The advice I would give myself on day one would be start slower. I envision Apogee in its full and complete form and essentially start it with that idea in mind. Um, I tend to do that with projects that I undertake. And when you're starting a business, I probably could have started it a little bit more slowly. In other words, we have 3 service lines. I could have started with just one service line, got that off the ground, pulled in team members as we built out that service line, and then subsequently added in the other elements of the business. But again, it was a fully formed vision that I had for the advisory firm, and so it was let's go after all of it all at once. And now that that's off and running, I have to stick with it because I'm already vested in it. But the advice I would give myself would be to start much smaller than what I did. What keeps me motivated on the difficult days is quite simply success. I've developed a track record of being successful throughout my entire professional career, and I am very motivated to continue winning in that respect. And I stay motivated by knowing that I'm onto something, that I'm approaching it with full and complete positive intent. And I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to help other businesses. I'm trying to help my team members within Apogee. And that tends to keep me focused on the things that matter, which is being successful for the business, being successful for our team members, and hopefully being successful for our clients.